Hi there. Thank you very much for clicking on this video. My name is Xiaoying Po. Some people know me by the name of Christine, and today we are going to talk about suffering. So let's get right into it. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I think this is also a pep talk to myself by speaking to you, and I hope today's topic is going to help you better your day or at least bring you some kind of comfort. I'm going to begin by reading the title of the last chapter of Jordan Peterson's new book, Beyond Order, 12 More Rules for Life. And Rule 12 says, be grateful in spite of your suffering. If you don't know who's Jordan Peterson, go ahead and check him out, either on Baidu, or if you have VPN, go ahead and check him out on YouTube or Google. He's a very famous public figure from Canada, and he's also a clinical psychologist. I'm going to read part of what he says in this chapter to begin our topic about suffering. In his opinion, suffering is definitely a part of life, if not all of it. He says, human beings have the capacity to courageously confront their suffering. This is the most fundamental twin axiom of psychotherapy, regardless of school of thought, as well as key to the mystery of human success and progress across history itself. If you confront the limitations of life courageously, that provides you with a certain psychological purpose that serves as an antidote to the suffering. Let's go ahead and interpret what he's saying here. As I said before, he mentioned over and over again in his two different books of 12 Rules for Life. He thinks that suffering is a main part of life. And just because everything's existence justifies for the fact that it is necessary in our lives, suffering itself is not necessarily a negative thing. But of course, it will bring us a lot of traumas, and it will also develop certain kinds of cynicism, anger, sadness, bitterness in our lives. For example, being poor or broke, it is a form of suffering. We can't access things that other people have access to because of our financial troubles. And that's one form of suffering, right? And let's make another example. A failed relationship or a failed divorce, during which you might have suffered from mental or even physical traumas and also financial loss. What about death? Someone that you love or someone that was good and good to you passed away right away without any heads up in life, and makes you wonder, what is the meaning of life in general? Why there are so many people in the world who have done bad or evil that still continue to live, and this specific person that was so dear to you, whose life ended so suddenly? What is the meaning of life? And the same goes with illness. And also in this age of social media, jealousy, anger, bitterness can also be a form of mental torture and suffering. What are we going to do to deal with this? And Jordan Peterson has his own view on this, and there's a paragraph that I really would love to read to you of what he thinks is very important in the way that we can deal with suffering in a positive manner. Let's take a look at this paragraph here. I do not believe you can be appropriately grateful or thankful for what good you have and for what evil has not befallen you until you have some profound and even terrifying sense of the weight of existence. You cannot properly appreciate what you have unless you have some sense not only of how terrible things could be, but of how terrible it is likely for things to be, given how easy it is for things to be so. As I've mentioned before, Jordan Peterson has a very objective view on suffering. He thinks suffering is as normal as life itself is imperfect. It is not personally directed towards you. You have suffering not because life hates you or God hates you if you are religious. You are not a victim unless you decide to be one. So here, attitude really is very important in how you deal with suffering. Some people like to make themselves as martyrs. Okay, I've suffered things in life and I am a victim and people should feel sorry about me. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but I would love to complain. I would love to blame society for the sufferings that have befallen me. But without proper suffering, you won't know how happiness or real gratitude is in life, and you wouldn't know what is bad so that you can set your course straight to make good for the rest of your life. I heard a saying before, I don't remember exactly what the words are, but I'm going to paraphrase here. The main idea is that the branches of a tree can't reach heaven unless its roots has reached down to hell. I think this is such a words full of wisdom here. Just like a tree, a person wouldn't really understand what real happiness is unless he has a taste of what hell or suffering really is. So he understands how to appreciate life and how to rewrite his future. In the face of suffering, attitude really means everything. It really means if you're going to be successful or at least more successful in your future, or you're going to stay stagnant or even go down the spiral of being vengeful, of being angry, of being bitter, and also affect people around you in a negative way. Jordan Peterson said this, and I think it's really, really meaningful here. Courage and nobility in the face of tragedy is the reverse of the destructive, nihilistic cynicism apparently justified under such circumstances. Your past does not define your future. Just because we have suffered before doesn't mean that we have to suffer further in life. The rest of our lives are not written yet, and we are the only people who can write our future. So in the face of suffering, of course, there is always some time for grieving, but after that, we have to move on, either downwards or upwards. It's really up to us. Jordan Peterson talked about nihilism, cynicism, and destructive behavior after suffering, which is very normal in life. I have done it. Maybe you have done it. A lot of people have done it. After suffering a traumatic event, doesn't matter what it is, a lot of us, probably the first reaction is sadness, anger, and then we start to be even a little bit cynical or nihilist, thinking that what is the meaning of doing anything anymore? I wasted time, money, my mental health, and even my physical well-being for being in the situation that I have suffered before. A lot of us will go down a downward spiral. Maybe we will become stagnant and not do anything anymore and just sit on our asses or lie in bed and sleep all day. Or maybe we will get into some bad habits to take revenge on society or even on ourselves by drinking, smoking, taking drugs, or being an asshole to other people. All of these are very normal in the face of suffering, and we all have done that. But what does he mean by courage and nobility in the face of suffering? Well, after an agreeable or normal time of grieving, we need to come to realize that these destructive behaviors are not going to make a difference. No matter how much we play martyr in the face of suffering and complain to others, or just become lazy and not want to try anything in life anymore, all of these things are not going to make our lives better, if not making it worse. We are the only people that can help ourselves, and our attitude after suffering really would decide whether our future is going to be better or worse. Let's take a look at the cases of suffering that we have mentioned at the beginning of this video. Being poor. Maybe it is a consequence of our social background, maybe because of the classes that we're in, Maybe because we are just lazy and we don't do things that's going to better our financial ability. So what can we do to make things better? First of all, maybe we can think about stopping inertia. Don't be lazy and move in a positive direction that's actually going to change my future for the better. Stop inertia or playing the blame game. Don't blame society. Don't blame other people for your suffering, even if they might have played a part in it. But the thing is that they are not going to help you. Blaming them is not going to help you. So what we can do, maybe we can start learning new skills. Learn from our past mistakes. Learn new skills that will actually help us with our financial gains in the future. And also get out of the social financial circumstances that make us poor. Maybe we can be more selective of the people that we hang out with. Some people might be good as normal friends, but they're not really helping you in knowing better people that can better your financial situation. So learning some skills and actually put time into it, and also bettering our social interaction, bettering our social circle. What about after suffering a failed relationship or a failed marriage? Well, of course, we're going to grieve for a while because we might have spent months, years, or even decades on a person that actually caused you trauma. It could be mental, it could be physical, it could be financial, right? Okay, we grieve, but we gotta move on. First of all, what do we do? Okay, I've suffered with this person. This person was definitely not for me. So in the future, look in another direction. Look for things that will really benefit your relationship. Look for people with qualities that could make a better partner. And also learn from your past mistakes to make yourself better. A relationship is a mutual interaction. There's always a person with bad behavior, and there's always another person who encourages this kind of bad behavior or reacts poorly to the other person's bad behavior. So your failed marriage or your failed relationship, let's please be real here and be honest with ourselves. We are partially at fault for our failed relationships. We need to better ourselves first, how we react to other people's behavior. Should we react to it with pure anger and be destructive and blame another person? Or should we actually lean back and think, how can we properly and better react to another person's behavior? How can we correct them in a way that is not destructive? And also educate ourselves a little bit more in the realm of relationships. How can we be a little bit more emotionally capable and also intellectually more capable to be in a relationship? Maybe the other person is at fault. Maybe the other person is just an asshole and you are really a victim in this relationship. But also maybe you are the asshole, right? You were the person who didn't help the relationship. You were not ready to be in a relationship. Educate ourselves in the way that we ourselves can be a better partner. In that sense, people will notice certain people with good qualities to make them good partners. So make ourselves a good partner, and in turn, better people will choose us in a relationship. Now, death and illness is a kind of suffering that's really hard to comment on. Of course, especially when we're dealing with deaths of a dear friend or a dear family member who passed away too early. Grief is definitely part of the process. We need to grieve to give them the respect of our memory. Grieve properly, and then we need to let go. That is the beginning of getting better, stepping out of suffering after a tragic event like that. Grieving and then moving on. It's a favor to ourselves and also to the ones who have passed. Because if they are really good to you, they were good to you and they loved you, they wouldn't want you to grieve. They wouldn't want you to suffer from further sadness, from further pain after they have moved on. And to be honest, maybe in a very spiritual or hippie way, consciousness and a person's soul is a product of the universe. It existed long before we were born. It will continue existing long after our deaths. So look at death in a different or positive way. Their physical bodies might have vanished, but something in them, the essence that made them them, will continue to exist in your memories, in your future efforts, in their dying wish for you to have a better life. So in this sense, moving on and being happy, making ourselves happy, is the best gift to the people who once loved you but passed. Now for the last part, jealousy, anger. Social media, even though the purpose of them being created maybe at one point in life were good, but social media right now has been giving people more problems psychologically than good. We open up our Instagram, open up our Facebook, or in China, open up our WeChat moments, and we see other people just living a great life. They have great cars, they have several properties in different parts of the world. They are surrounded by beautiful people, and they are the center of attention. And we feel bad about ourselves. We've worked so hard, and we have tried so hard. Why are we so far away from what we see on social media? It creates a certain kind of jealousy that will end up in grief, that will end up in sadness, that will end up in low self-esteem. There are two sides of how we could look at this. First, understand the reality. Maybe other people that you are envious to, their happiness is not 100% real. We know that a lot of people will spend a lot of time and take a lot of shots before they can get that perfect shot or that perfect video that they show you on social media. It's not real. There are a lot of people on Instagram who had millions and millions of followers, but they actually live a really miserable life. So their success is just for the public, and their real life is not nearly the same. Or second part is that accept reality. Maybe they are really happy. And maybe they've done things that you have never thought about doing that made themselves that way. So, choose our paths. Should we be bitter or should we be better? If it's the first scenario, which means their reality is not real, so we should just understand the reality. Okay, that's how it is. I shouldn't take it too seriously. I shouldn't let it bother me that much and give myself that much mental suffering for something that's not even real. Or the second, accept reality. They are better because they tried harder. So what can I do? Let go of my ego. Let go of my jealousy. That person is really doing better, and that I should use that person as an example for me to try better in life. What did that person do that made him have such a good status in life or such a good state in life? I should try that. Or at least I should try a bit of that. And also the root of eradicating the suffering from jealousy is that we should fundamentally wish other people well. They deserve what they have tried for. Good for them. And I will also do whatever I have in my power to better my life. Wish you very well, and thank you for your example that you're setting for me. And also, let go of our ego means we should help others. Even if we are the person who eventually got success, instead of feeling proud of ourselves or, making other people feel bad, we should share our experiences and help the people that are around us who are not feeling very well, who are not doing very well. Share with them the experiences, share with them the lessons that we have learned in life. Because to be honest, true happiness eventually comes from the fact that selflessness is a real source of real happiness. Thank you very much for listening to this episode on suffering. I hope in some strange way this might have brightened your day or encouraged you to go on in a happier manner. My name is Xiaoying Po. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in my next video.